where do you put the trend line? Just kind of attach as many highs as you can and know that it may or may not work. So you can scale it and, it still stays there. This did poke above. You're like, but what about, what about this over here? Is this a fake breakout? And it, came back and 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 came back. And then today, closing above.
Mm-hmm.
That's just one piece, though. Another piece you lay on from the high to the low, a fib line. There's going to be another layer of resistance right in there. The roadmap line was another potential resistance, and we gapped above it and run it on up. If we just push on through here, sets the potential up for 220. Right there was 75%. But we had to get above that pink zone first. Once we're above
Right.
the pink, 75% likely up here. I like it. Dell, on the other hand, looking at it, it's just doing the breakaway run. I mean, look at that, 30% up today. Turning red. Be careful. Those can come. I mean, look how far away the roadmap line is on just the daily chart. That's a long way. It's like, and it's kind of going straight up exponential. What goes up usually finds some gravity.
Yeah. Got to pull back eventually, right? I mean, 30% in a day.
This is usually, I mean, other things that have done that, like Oracle. If we go look at the, and jump
Oh,
back to the
after
chart.
the TikTok deal was announced.
Yeah,
I remember that.
we had Oracle going,
Oh
just
yeah.
jumping up, making a giant hot move higher there, 30%. And what has it done since then?
Uh,
Not. It's
yeah.
down below that pop. So I'm always leery on giant pops that don't really seem like they fit any kind of narrative. Dell, it's not some sort of new paradigm shift that they're going to print money all of a sudden. They are just a tiny company, but they're not the new AI revolution here. They're not building the data center themselves, just providing hardware. I mean, they buy chips from everybody and just assemble them together and then build the server racks. So, but they buy, everybody was hyping SMCI. At the time, I was like, go look at the numbers. Dell buys way more GPUs than SMCI does. This thing ran its course, and then, you know, that could have been played out. That bubble right there, chopped around, did the little thing, broke down. That could be it. I've looked for it to pop on down to 10, but maybe that doesn't happen. Still in a downtrend of highs. So SMCI I wanted to watch, be careful of, watch out for is what I would say. I did bring some trades today, Blake.
Did you?
Yeah.
They sent out the wrong. I wondered why the attendance was a little low today. They sent out the wrong link for Market
Okay.
Masters.
How do
I'm
you
trying to
send
get that fixed. I
how do you send out the wrong link?
don't know.
Dunno. Anyway, doing pretty good this month. Pretty good. I got a $33,000 month so far, it looks like. Last day of the month. I guess that's 32.9. I'll probably have 33 by the end of the day. More than likely. Not a bad shake. But I just added a new position right before I went live. I thought I'd talk about it here. NCLH. Everybody loves these lower price stuff ones. And this has an upside potential. I feel like. Now, you can make your own decision. You don't have to agree with me, but this has come down, found support here. 14 is kind of the support level. As you can see, 14, 14, 14. Been holding that as a floor. So if we get below 14, this is probably not working out the way I planned. But this move up, this retrace presents this opportunity for this thing to pop up to like 45 right up in here. And that may not be the end of it. You know, it may just be the point where it takes a rest and then goes on higher. So right now I'm playing puts on this. I'm not, this is not a directional type trade. This is where I really lean on the turbo wheel. This is called a measured bounce right here. We got to move up, we got to retrace down to this blue zone, and then the bounce potential is like this. And I call that a measured bounce. And for this one, since it's taken so darn long, June 22 up to January 25 to make that first run, then the retrace back down here almost 6 months for the next leg. If the next leg just does the same climb speed of the first move, and we do the extension off that, to get to 44, it could be out here well into 28, 29, right? Could we go faster? Sure, possible. Could be up here sooner. Could it take well on out here? Absolutely. So I'm being cautious, not playing giant. I jumped in here with 18 strike, sold 4 of them for next Friday, collected 50 cents. I did that right before I went live here. It looked like it started moving though. So you may not be able to still get the pricing. Let me see if my platforms probably, yeah, there it goes. Log me out. Log back in real quick. Pop this over. Right here's the play right there. NC LH. That is Northern Caribbean. Why not Royal Caribbean? Why not Carnival? Why not? Why not? Why not? This one has the opportunity on the chart. I went after these 18s. They're already down to 40 cents, it looks like, right in the moment. Wasn't trying to front run anybody. I was just trying to set it up to show it off on the show. Now, you may be like, JT, hold up a second. That seems like it might be a little higher than 40% ROI. And you would be correct. I'm a little bit bullish since this is sitting on support. Could you go down to 17s and get 40%? Sure. I ran a little spicier, partly under Jack's influence, that maybe I should be a little more aggressive on some things that I'm aggressively bullish on. So at this point, I went with the 18 strike. We can pull this over. Right there. Refresh. That 18 strike right now paying a 95% ROI. 1750s, 54. The 17s, 34. So it drops off pretty rapidly. So I just went with 18. Not a huge difference to me between 18 and 17 as far as the price and where I expect this to go. Look at the expected move. Could be down to 1738 by next Friday. Could be down to 1687 by the 12th. So there's some juice built into this thing. Look at the beta sitting at 1.6. Not horrible. It's above the 1.5. When we were doing the FinViz scan, we were setting this beta over 1.5, which means Norwegian, whatever it's called, Norwegian Cruise Lines holdings should be in this list. Something else is holding it down, which would be this price above the 20 SMA. If we actually got rid of that, since I don't necessarily care if they're in an uptrend. That was a big My cohort Jack was a big proponent of that part. And this thing should start showing up in here, but it's not. I'm not seeing it on the list today for Northern Caribbean. All right, Norwegian Cruise Lines. Excuse me. I want to call it North Caribbean for whatever. Norwegian Cruise Lines Holdings. So this is, do you have to grab things on the list? No, you can find opportunities. I was going after it because I like the pattern. Uh, something I was reading some other analysis about cruise line industry maybe coming back a little bit, and so I started diving into which ones had the best looking chart, and NCLH looked like it had a better chart. Kind of follows the path better than, CCL right here. Actually looks like it might be due more retrace based on the fact that we're in this downtrend here. Downtrend highs, and we might see a spill off back down.
Kane was mentioning that he really liked the cruise lines yesterday on the closing playbook. I can't remember the exact reason why. I guess something about really liking the chart. He was liking the cruise lines and then like anything transportation wise.
I just think maybe as consumers get little more on their feet, that we might see more resurgence into cruise lines.
Mm-hmm.
If you zoom out and look at Caribbean, it's just kind of been chopping in here for a long time, actually.
Long time. I used to trade CCL during COVID.
Yeah, it was it was making big swings in COVID. It has
Mm-hmm.
just been sitting here at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, went from, and COVID wasn't necessarily the problem here. It was just kind of like the last
Yeah,
hurrah.
it was like the nail in the coffin for CCL.
Somewhere back here around 2018, they started having some problems, and COVID just exacerbated the stock move, but the end of the lows. It just goes to show you that, that one's kind of like looks like a bubble, pop, come right back, pop, come right back, pop, does this over and over. But right now, I'm not sure that this is ready to break out. Has the potential, but it just doesn't seem to be getting its act together. And I think that the way this moved up off the lows, we could definitely see a larger retrace here before this gets going. And that's
Well,
why
what?
that's
Yeah,
why
like
I picked NCLH over CCL.
I'm like, are people rearing to like jump on these cruises going into the summer?
I don't
Like,
know.
would you ever take a cruise? Like, would you go on a cruise?
My favorite vacation.
Really?
I've done two. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Which did
did
you go
one.
on Carnival or did you go Royal Caribbean? Where'd you go?
I did Celebrity the first time.
Okay.
My grandma bought it, and it was to celebrate my grandpa. Her and my grandpa liked Alaska as their favorite place they went. They had a camper, and they used to go all over the place. They went to Mexico, and they went up to Alaska, and they went this place and that place, and they went all over the place with their camper. And Alaska was their favorite place to visit, so she wanted all the kids and grandkids to be able to experience that. She sold his camper, and the money that she got off of it, she paid for everybody to go on the cruise. It was a pretty good way to celebrate him
Yeah. Well,
after he passed.
absolutely.
And my grandfather's one of the great Americans out there. He went to West Point, played football for West Point, um, had like a Distinguished Flying Cross and Silver Star. Was in like three wars: World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. And he's just a real good American dude. He retired from the Air Force, a colonel, and just a good dude. And so we were celebrating him.
Yeah. Well, that's a real patriot right there, man.
Yeah,
And
and
if it was your grandpa, he probably fought in what, World War? Well, no, I don't want to say World War II, but maybe it is.
it caught just a smidgen of World War II,
Yeah.
and then picked up the Air Force as
Korea.
it started, and then Korea and Vietnam.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Those were
So
ugly wars.
yeah, he got his I think he got the DFC from Vietnam. He flew in to an airport that was being overrun by Viet Cong. landed on the runway with the cargo door down, never stopped rolling. Green Berets jumped in the back of it and he took off, and they had something like 300 and something bullet holes in the plane when they got back.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well,
Sounds like a scene from a video game.
I mean, straight up, like that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
But anyway, so, you know, Celebrity was the first one. And then in 2011, I took my kids on Carnival, and that was fun. But I haven't been on a cruise since 2011, so it's been a little while.
it's been about 15 years. I've never been on a cruise. I've never been.
I freaking love it. It's just like all inclusive. Everything's there. It's entertainment. You know, you want
Right.
to go to
Like
you want to go to a comedy show, go to the comedy show. You want to go to a, somewhere there, dancing and singing and whatever, they got those. You want to go play in the casino, you can go do that. You want to go float around the pool, you go do that. You're hungry, shoot, they got pretty much everything you can imagine to eat. I mean, 24/7 too. So, I
even at
mean,
3 a.m., you can go
yeah,
get
you
food.
just go get food. And the one of the coolest things I thought, just kind of a hack we learned, was you go to the dining room at your scheduled time, the regular dining room, and you look at the menu and you're like, holy cow, man, I've never eaten all these things. Like, I don't even know what that is. You just tell them you want all of it, and they'll just bring it all to you and put it on the table. And you can try a little bit of everything. And you're like, well, I don't like that, don't like that, I like that. And you eat all that, and nobody cares. It's just, you go to a restaurant, you can't order, like, it costs you three arms and two legs to do something like that.
Oh yeah.
And so
What
that was one of the coolest things about I got to try a lot of food that I've never in my life had before, like escargot.
see
Interesting.
you could probably profit off of one of these cruises then. Like if you paid $500 for a ticket, you could easily get $600 or $700 worth of goods on your week long journey, right? Like that's feasible.
Maybe. I mean, they definitely set it up so they're at the advantage because they have this tipping system that's like you can't really opt out of, and all sorts of stuff
Oh,
too. So
okay.
it's not just the price of the ticket.
Okay. Well, you know what's funny is they bring up these cruises. Apparently, so the guy's house, I bought this house. The guy who used to live here years ago, I think this house used to be a rental before I bought it. Um, but I get these people's mail, and it's from Carnival Cruise Line, from Royal Caribbean, from Norwegian Cruise Lines. All the dang cruise lines are sending him like these promos. So like, come on a cruise. And now here you are talking about a cruise. So maybe the universe is telling me and my wife to go on a cruise.
That's
I don't know.
fun. That's
You know,
fun.
I
They
don't
got
know.
child, you go on the right one. They got childcare too. You just go, you know, check the little one in, and
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking leave the little one leave the little one over.
you can do it too. I mean, that's a possibility. It depends on.
My
I
That's
was gonna say
funny.
depends on how attached mom is.
My buddy's watching the show right now, and he said I can get you a really good discount.
There you go.
So that's funny.
But yeah, Royal Caribbean, probably not the best play here. Now, PL, this one's still cooking. Did pull back today, but still holding the breakout. It broke out of the channel. I told Jack it was probably going to back test the channel at least. That's what we're doing today. As long as we hang out up here, still uptrend, still everything fine. I sold next Friday's options last week. If anybody remembers that. Played 2 weeks out, and they're still looking just fine. Pull that up and look at it really quickly. The play was 35s right there. Collected a nice chunk of money. Sitting on most of the profit. Is down just a slight bit today, but not a big deal. I'm just gonna sit on that. Like Jack was talking about, I don't want to give up $62 times two just to close it early, even though I've got $200, $250 profit. I'm just gonna sit on that and let it cook. Just keep letting it cook.
Planet
We're,
Labs.
yeah, that's PL Planet Labs. That's
Is this a space stock or something?
Yeah, it's related to space. They're a supplier for SpaceX and whatever.
Well, next week on the 4th, allegedly, that's Thursday. SpaceX IPO.
I don't think they're so the road show is supposed to start next week. I don't think they're going
Okay.
to IPO it next week. I think it'll be on
Maybe
into the
the,
month.
okay.
I think a lot of people are hyping it, but I don't think it'll be that fast. I think, and they're trying to quell expectations a little bit. I don't know if you saw the news.
No, I didn't.
They're actually trying to SpaceX themselves is announcing that they're targeting a lower valuation on the IPO. They're not trying to push it above. They're looking at 1.8 trillion, not 2 trillion or 2.5 trillion or anything like that. They're trying to
Oh,
they're trying to chill people out a little bit, which may have maybe like reverse psychology and create more excitement. But it-
they're trying to chill us out, huh? 1.8 trillion instead of 2.2 trillion. Oh boy.
yeah, we'll see what happens.
That's a big difference there.
That that is a big difference. But here's
It is, it
PL.
actually is.
So this reminds me though. It's just kind of weird. It reminds me of like the Facebook IPO. Facebook came public, all this hype, and then it was talked about for months in the media, just like SpaceX. This, that, the other. Everybody's gonna be rich. It's gonna go to the moon after it goes public. It's gonna get included in all the index. I mean, all the same rhetoric, same story, different time in the market. I remember it distinctly. Goes public, loses 50% of its value almost immediately over the next couple weeks. I just That's the way IPOs work.
Yeah.
They go
Well,
public at peak excitement and then they need to correct. And and that's just the way it is. So be careful anybody jumping on that thing.
I heard somebody the other night talking about how they're waiting for the lockup period to end and then they're going to try to take puts on it. The share lockup period.
Yeah. I you know, I don't know what the lockup period's gonna be even. Like everything's supposed to be there's talk about it not even having a lockup period. So I don't know. I guess we'll see what the rules are.
Yeah.
There's only so many rules you can change
Right. Well,
on an
yeah,
IPO.
and if it doesn't have a lockup period at all, then that certainly changes the game. But anyways, you were
Yeah.
talking about PL. Why don't you go ahead?
Yeah. So PL hooked on into all this stuff, and I'm on it for now. But I'm probably gonna, this will probably be my quit it since it broke higher into a new channel. That increases the risk of a bigger pullback for me, and I'll probably quit it for after I book this profit here. Got realized $48 profit, premium collected $408. Got those two open that I did for 180 last week. And I thought I'd talk more about how I'm managing all this stuff since I don't have my cohort here to, shoot the breeze with. I do have Blake. And Blake, I do appreciate your questions, but you're not a guru. You don't want to be a guru. So, you can interrupt me anytime with a question. But I thought I'd
Hey,
just run.
I never said I didn't want to be a guru, but I'm learning about because my trading strategy is like totally different, man. Like I look at order flow, but I want to learn this. That's why I'm asking questions and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
hey. And well, you said you're not a guru and you don't want to be one right now. Maybe after you get an established history,
I I got to
you'd
get
step
some
into it.
experience under my belt, you know. I've only helped refine a couple programs here at the pub, okay?
All right. But SoFi, we're seeing a rotation back to fintech, which fintech number one, that's been really good to me. Look at her go. Starting to break above the magic roadmap line. Then we have this resistance zone up here. If you haven't accumulated shares or been doing puts, you're late to the party. We've been talking about it on the show since right back in here. When it hit my pullback target, went a little bit lower. No big deal. I've been selling puts all the way through here. I've got some shares. They're probably going to get called out in the, mid 80s where I was selling calls right around the roadmap line there. This thing may run up, come back down, find support, and then take off. That's kind of what I expect. 300 is kind of the upside target if we just do the same move we did last year. We've done the same move a couple years in a row. Usually it wraps up somewhere around late April. This year we pushed it on to late May. And then the last 2 years, we've seen a giant run take place in the summer on Robinhood.
Now, Robinhood is pumping because they're allowing you to hook up an AI agent, an AI bot
Yeah, if you believe
to
that's
your
what
broker.
if you believe that's what it is, I just think we're seeing rotation back into fintech because we're seeing SoFi take advantage too.
Mm-hmm.
They
You've been
announced
talking about
the
SoFi too.
I've been talking about SoFi as an opportunity, and this has been kind of in the same consolidation right here. Made almost the same peak, had the same sort of consolidation, pullback period. We're getting up close to the roadmap line. If we break above, this has larger upside potential, not the same as Robinhood. We're not going to like 300. Don't be ridiculous. We do have a resistance point right up here. This is more like 35, 40, not like 300. But it's also not at 80, it's at 18. If this thing just does the same move it did before, we'd be at 40. That's just copying this move right here from that low to that high and just doing it again. Echo Trades is my flagship product that I launched when I first became a guru. And moves in the market tend to repeat. And that would be a repetition of the same move. And that's the exact same setup Robinhood has.
Mhm.
So I've got some SoFi, couple different chunks here, not giant, just 100 shares here, 100 shares there, different accounts. And I've been turning this into money, cash flowing. I've got upside calls sold at 20 on SoFi out to the regular June expiration. So this may run off and leave me. I won't be too sad about it, but that just gives more opportunity. We'll probably find some resistance there, pull back, gives you another opportunity to sell more puts, and then go again for the bigger move. So Robinhood, also same kind of deal. If you get called out, there'll probably be pullbacks. That's your opportunity to do it again. But this, if we just copy that move we did last year and the year before, look at this. I got to put it on the log mode. Hold on. There we go. We did this move. We did in 24 and in 25. And if we do that same move again in 26, that puts us right up here around 300. Beautiful upside potential. Guaranteed? No. What's possible? Anything's possible. What's probable? These high probability reflections in the prices. I mean, there's a clear seasonality. The last 2 years, we've done the same move on Robinhood, and I think it can happen again. So, and this is based on percent. Of course, this move percent wise was a little bit smaller move than the one before. Point wise move on a log scale, it was the same size move.
So seasonality wise here, Robinhood tends to rally the last half of the year.
Just kind of like from the summer into October.
Okay.
Start of summer through October. It's,
Okay.
it's done that 2 years in a row. Actually, 3 years in a row, really.
Yeah.
You look at it right here. We did that same kind of move from, it started a little bit earlier, I guess, there. It's been a little bit later each year, kind of. We had this rally. We had this rally. Started right there. And now we've got this one starting right here. So we've had it 24, 25. That move, that move. Yeah, 23 was kind of weird. Didn't really rally. But we got one. This move has happened once, twice, three times. Why not a fourth?
Why not a fourth? Well, somebody mentioned in the chat too, Robin Hood has something to do. I think that's where those Trump accounts are. A lot of that money's going. I think it's going to Robin Hood.
Hey, I mean, like
I,
you go kiss the ring of the king and you get benefits.
I guess so. Like, take a look at Dell. PLTR,
But
Intel.
Trump accounts aren't going to be traded though. You can put money
No,
in them, but you can't
that's
trade
right.
them. So how does that generate fees for Robinhood?
That's true. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Might just look good on paper, I guess.
Yeah, it's just so not everything turns into money on the bottom line. So be careful thinking that way. Yeah, even if Trump accounts are there, that doesn't mean that that's generates profit for
Right.
Robinhood. Could be more of a liability and just a future hope that those people turn into traders at Robinhood.
Good point.
SoFi, interesting thing there, very quiet, was that they released a stable coin.
What?
Yeah.
Into the crypto realm, huh?
Yeah, look at this. SoFi USD. I saw the news headline and then I clicked it and see SoFi launched a US bank, US a US bank based
Issue.
stablecoin, 1-to-1 USD based. So it's a stablecoin based, it runs on Ethereum and Solana and remains down, but I don't know how you remain down. It's pegged to the dollar. So it's they got this thing audited by Deloitte Little, SoFi USD, pegged to the dollar. And they're like the first bank that rolls out their own stablecoin.
So why would they do that? Like what is the benefit of that for them?
Well, it allows them to control payments and not have to run it through the traditional banking system like ACH and the Swift payment system.
Right, like the
It,
Swift payment system that can take days,
and
sometimes weeks.
banks pay dearly to be members of those things. And then you also pay per transaction. If they can make transactions that are off the books and all on their network, hey.
I thought that was supposed to be XRP's thing.
But
That was supposed to be Ripple's job. What happened to that?
see, where's the barrier to entry into crypto? There's almost no barrier to entry. So
Right, you can go online and make a coin. I
that's
could do
what
it.
that's what makes this so kind of interesting, I guess you might say. SoFi Technologies. Where's the
What were all those
SoFi?
other coins? Were those coins that people made?
Oh, these are all cool. Like, I don't know if you've been here lately. There's 51 million coins.
I've been there lately. Oh my gosh.
Total number of cryptos, 51.46 million.
Oh my gosh. You can just make a coin.
Yep.
You can make one.
Solana lowered the barrier to entry for making a coin to ridiculously, like you can do it with like $1,000 or something like that.
That's crazy.
So what this does is it allows any joker with $1,000 to
Make a
create a
coin
coin and then try to pump it and suck in some people.
and
I mean,
rug it.
think about it. You put $1,000 in, you pump it up to like even just 20K, you liquidate out your stake, and even if you walked away with 3,000, you just tripled your money.
Is this illegal?
No, it's not legal. It's completely
It's not.
100%
It's not
legal.
illegal. It's totally allowed.
Totally allowed in the crypto space. And that's why it's dangerous though. You can just get in there and pump anything and people do this every day. And
Just pump the coin. Influencer pumps the coin.
yeah, I mean look at the trend here. Last 30 days, crypto's created
1.6 million. Oh my gosh.
53,000 a day basically is what we're
Ugh.
averaging.
And how many of
1.6
those are pump and dumps? 99% of them?
I'd say, 1.678 million.
Each one of them's a pump and dump. Ugh.
That's why I tend to stay, a little bit cautious on crypto stuff. Like doesn't look like the SoFi USD is listed on here yet.
I thought I saw it.
I've got some fake ones.
Yeah, I was gonna say I see some fake ones on there. Look at that. That one's up to 18K. When's that one gonna get rugged?
Yeah. If all the value here looks ridiculous here.
It's not something right. It's like SPCE on the market just doubling in value because people think it's like SpaceX or something.
Yeah. None of that's like none of that's real.
Yeah, that's all baloney coins.
Those were
See,
all
this is
just
why I stick to a good broker like Coinbase or something. Because they won't even let you buy something if it's not like legit in some way.
you go the perpetual SpaceX token that's traded on Binance.
What's that
And
at? 191.
you can see this is their effort to push it back lower. They're making that
I
effort.
see. I see.
This is supposed to represent what the share price is going to IPO at.
I okay. All right. So it's like a guesstimate.
Yep.
191 a share. Gosh, that would be just reminding me of VCX.
I don't know the one for Anthropic off the top of my head, but there's one of these for Anthropic trading on Binance also.
Oh, and Anthropic's doing an IPO too, huh?
Yep.
That's Claude, right?
Yeah, Claude Code.
Yeah.
See,
Sonnet.
they've already got on TradingView SPCX. SpaceX is already
Look at that. They're
so
getting ready for it, man. I'm telling you. I mean, Charles Schwab told me the 4th. So what's that? Offer date June 11th is what they're
yeah,
saying.
that's I mean, I'd trust this over some
I
random blogger.
Amen. I mean that guy from Charles Schwab could have just been a random blogger for all we know. So June 11th. So what is that? And that's next. That's not next week, is it? That's the week
Uh,
after. That's like
yeah,
Monday,
it's Thursday.
Thursday,
Yeah, it's
June
a week
11th.
later than. See, I think they're going to start the roadshow next week
Okay.
and then hype it up into the IPO the next week.
I get. Hey, look, there's our day right there, June 1st, Parents' Day.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's our day, man. Right
And
there.
then I have a special event coming up on the 18th, 19th,
Oh yeah,
an
you got the Turnabout Trading Lab.
in-person event. Now the market is closed on the 19th. So it gives an extra special opportunity to learn things where we're not distracted by the market. So that'll be a fun, different event right there. So that's an in-person event coming up
On Juneteenth.
for members of Termire Trading Lab. And we have more information about that coming up here in a minute.
We do.
We do. So other things that I've been digging into. I've got Robinhood. I've got SoFi. I've got Celsius. Let's take a look at Celsius.
Ah, yes.
This one put me shares last week. I'd been selling let me pull this over so everybody can see. I started out selling the 31s. It rallied up. I moved up to the 32s. Then it dipped last week and I got put 200 shares. And then this week on the 28th, yesterday, I was able to sell 38 strike calls for 12 cents out to next Friday. And looking at the chart, it did dip a little lower than I wanted to see it. Last week was looking pretty dismal down at 28, but now I've got the 38 sold, which are right up in here, still below the roadmap line. But the potential here is pretty massive on the upside. Same kind of pattern as Norwegian Cruise Lines. The potential pop up in this 174 area, which is, you think about it, like this is a crazier opportunity, right? 30 to 174. That's like 6x roughly, 5 to 6x your money just on the shares. Climb speed here. This one's a little more aggressive than the Royal Caribbean one. Look at the climb speed, match it over here, double that up. So we're gonna be up there possibly by August of next year.
So doesn't Celsius do energy drinks?
Yeah, and we talked about that on the show before. Yeah, they do energy drinks. But a lot of them have a lot of Celsiuses have green tea extract, which is bad for some. There's a portion of the population, and you never know if it's you. That's green tea extract can make your kidneys quit,
Well,
and I don't
yeah,
want the
you
risk.
told me that. You said that, and Celsius will also make you buy meme stocks like GME. So you got to be careful with that. Don't drink it while you're trading.
But the interesting thing here, there's a fundamental like I I've joked a lot about not caring about fundamental analysis and all that stuff. And the stock chart is good, but the fundamental analysis lines up here too. You go look at the P to S, price to sales. It's only 2.77. Their forward PE, which is not shown on here, but their forward PE is like 10 or something like that with the rate that they've been growing. You go look at like Coca-Cola. Their price to sales is 7. But
Coca-Cola?
yeah,
Okay.
price to sales 7. So when you look at Celsius at 2.7, they're underpriced
Wow. They are, aren't they?
price to sales. And
Look at
then
that.
look at the other competitor, the big dog in the
Mm-hmm.
space. They're 10
Maybe they're a
price to
little
sales.
overpriced.
Well, 30 is usually where I say it's overpriced. 10 is still doable. I mean, their business is leaner and meaner than Coke's. And Celsius, I think, has this kind of potential. And that would be roughly, without increasing sales, that'd be a 4x potential, roughly, on the price of Celsius. If they expand sales, that gets to the 5 to 6x. And that target I'm talking about becomes like realistic. This is, the fundamentals analysis here supports Celsius performing. And it doesn't even have to be crazy. So that's kind of my base case here on Celsius. Now, am I going to be a customer? Probably not. But it
The
is
chart,
interesting.
the chart looks good. You're selling me on Celsius right now.
Yeah,
Look
I
at
mean,
that. Look at that. It's pulling back. Nice little support level. It's doing that bottoming pattern that you like to see, the breakout,
yeah, this is a
the
measured
the
bounce.
retest.
Yeah, this is not my roadmap pattern. The roadmap pattern is kind of void right at the moment on the daily chart.
Mm-hmm.
On the weekly chart, though, let's go to 3-day first. 3-day chart. It still looks a little like we made a high back here. We made a low. We actually triggered it here, but we did a secondary pullback, is what I call it, on a 3-day chart.
Mm-hmm.
And then the weekly charts, same sort of situation.
Yeah.
We did that. We activated the entry for going long right there. Did a what I call a secondary pullback to a higher low. This just reaffirms that we're probably coming on up to the 120 to 150 area when we pop back up through these highs.
How much credit could you get if you sold a 21 put?
So let's go dive into Celsius just a little bit.
Because that looks pretty like a 21 put. I feel like that'd
What
be good. Because if it goes down there, it's probably gonna bounce.
You're probably not going to get much credit on that because it's so like this is
Yeah.
relatively low price. The beta is smoking hot at 2.26.
Okay. What's
You'd have to,
IV at?
and let's look. Let's just pop this up really quickly
I've booked over
here.
4K on Celsius this year, and I don't drink it. LOL. Says Andrew.
Hey, you don't got to drink it.
Nice.
So the IV term structure, where's the best place to be selling calls? Roughly 3 months out right now, or
Okay.
3 months for puts, 3 months for calls. But this
Okay.
changes, by the week, so
Right.
you have to be aware.
Oh, they're heading into their earnings too, so they're naturally going to get IV increase.
I had earnings early May, so we're talking
Oh, did
about
they already?
that's what caused the recent drop, even though it
How'd
was
they do? Was it
not.
positive earnings?
Yeah, they beat on the top, beat on the bottom,
Okay, good. Oh,
but
that's
still
good.
sold off because they weren't, I guess, not creating AI powered energy drinks.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. Like, what are they doing? They're not getting to the AI sector.
Yeah,
All right.
apparently they're not putting GPUs in every can.
Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking. So you're looking at I was asking about the 21 foot. What you can get premium wise for that?
There we go. Let's see what we got cooking here. The 21's quite a ways down since we're
It is.
sitting at 33 right now. And your 40% ROI is going to be right around 30. Just a few bucks down. I mean, that's a 10% off of where we are right now.
Yeah, that's that lower swing low.
And that's just for next Friday. If you're willing to go further out in time, the the conversation usually changes a little bit. Remember, we've got this is not going to roll us out. This tool doesn't roll out 3 months. But if we went out as far as we could, you're still down to a 30 for a 40% ROI. So you tie up your money that long.
Yeah.
That's not my bag. It's not the thing I like to do. I like to tend to play shorter term. And right now I have I got put at 32. So I was playing the 32s, and I have the 38 calls sold, which we're not even in the calls conversation at the moment. And
And those are covered calls because it's been
yeah,
trending down.
well, it's covered calls because I own the shares. I got put
Right.
shares at 32. Or yeah, I'd sold 31s originally before earnings, and then I moved up to the 32s, and then last week I got put those. I was looking at the credit. Everybody's like, when do you decide to? I've sat here and rolled puts on like Hood forever and not let it assign me, and a couple accounts I did, but Celsius, I was looking at it, and the calls paid better than the puts. Plus, plus I could move up and sell higher calls and have upside potential on the shares, which is even better than just making money on selling calls.
Right.
So I went ahead and took the shares last week. And I don't have a big position. I just have a small position. And that's what you can see when you look at the trading log right here.
Yeah. How
It's,
many shares here? Looks like 200.
yeah, it was in an IRA. So I'm using 6,400 bucks of buying power. I've already realized $400 in profit. Got $24 in extra credit sold. My cost basis, I got put at 32, but my break even's already down to 30.
I see.
And I have an upside potential, promise to sell at 38 if we're up there next Friday.
Which pretty ways up there. That's like $6.
Well, it's only $5 from today's 33. If we look
It'd
at
still be
that,
like what, like a 20% gain though? It'd be a pretty big move on a week.
I mean, hey, this
I'm
thing
not
can
saying it's
move.
not possible. It can move. I mean, for sure. Look at that chart.
But sitting there at 33, I was willing to take the upside to 38, which 38's not even at the roadmap line. So
Yeah, it's
it's just at
possible.
this prior swing low right there. And that doesn't even look like that much distance, especially compared to that upside potential. So that's what we could be looking at on Celsius. And that's why Celsius. I mean, I'm not trying to sell anybody on this. I'm just
Oh, I like it. I like the thesis. I mean, it's the chart looks right. That's why I'm
chart
agreeing
just
with
looks
you.
right. Yeah, yeah.
It does. It looks good. Like it's what you're looking for.
I like these bottoming ones. Jack loved the ones that were up like this, and he'd go after
Yeah.
them, and then he gets stuck like he did in Hood. He got stuck, but he didn't really call it stuck. But it's you get stuck, and it's frustrating, especially if you have this personal aversion to selling a call that's below your cost basis. Because I personally do. I don't like to do that. I like to sell above my cost basis at all times, because I don't like to lock in a loss. And when you're running on smaller accounts and smaller amounts of money, it's harder, I find, to buy back those calls because you don't have the extra capital just to throw at, you know, closing out something just for the bigger, greater good of the position. So I've struggled with that a long time. Is like with smaller accounts, you just don't have the capital resources to buy back calls. Jack talked about it like hey, no big deal. But for me, it is a big deal. And I think for a lot of traders, especially with smaller accounts, it is a big deal. So another one we can talk about really quickly before we get to the end of the show here. CSIQ. This one doing exactly what I've been talking about it. Potentially going to do. If we can get above this 23 level right up here, 40 is going to come into play. Right up in there. This has nice measured bounce upside potential, just like if you haven't figured out yet, I love these measured bounce ones going after them. I started hitting this pretty hard back in here. This prior earnings, rolled through this earnings, still been playing. I've got a bunch of shares of this, and the upside potential is up in here. This one not quite as crazy as Celsius. Only looking for something only in the $40 to $50 area. If we get to 40, I'll probably be done with this. I'm probably not gonna chase it on up into this high up here.
Yeah, I mean that's a good area right there. Is that Canadian Solar
Yeah.
CSIQ?
Yep.
Yeah, I've traded them in years past, not recently though.
Now I've been on this one. Roll it down here.
Oh, look at that, man! You've been trading that puppy.
Yeah, if it started in February.
Okay,
Just not huge money here. I got 3,700 bucks tied up in
right?
this position.
Yeah.
$500 in premium on 3,700 bucks. Actually, I brought in 50, 562 in premium. I've
Mm-hmm.
booked 492. So I got put at 1850. My cost on the shares is 1604 right now in booked profit, realized gains. You roll down here, I've actually got the 2150s sold against it for next Friday. That'd be a pretty significant gain just on shares plus all the premium I've collected. So 1621, I mean that's almost was that 550. That's a pretty good haul right there. Talking about 1,100 bucks profit on $3,700 buying power that I used to do this.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
And the stock wouldn't have moved 50% to give me that 50% gain
Mm-hmm.
or 40% gain. So that's a pretty good one.
That's pretty good. CSIQ.
So I've been talking about that one
Mm-hmm.
being a pretty good pair. And Jack and I talked about it quite a bit, but 2.42 on the beta hadn't really moved a whole lot. It's just been a really solid play. So hopefully this is helping people in the chat, me actually going through some of the real positions I got open this week. And
Yeah.
what's the platform I'm using to manage and look this stuff up? It's called PowerX Optimizer. It is not run by our company. It is a third-party tool. I have a referral link if you wanted to pick it up for a discount. I get a little cheese, you get money off, and you get a lifetime license at the same time. And yeah, blink through it in there. Here you go. That's my link right there. I like the
Yeah.
software. It keeps track of your cost basis and all that stuff. And then one of the other really cool things is when you go to the chart for CSIQ, and it has the wheel as I call it the turbo wheel because I go after these bullish chart patterns, what I consider a bullish chart pattern. Your mileage may vary, be careful, significant risk of a loss in all trading. But when you come on here and you go CSIQ and you pick your position out of the list up here, out of the drop down, it'll actually draw it on the chart for you where your position is. And the dark purple, 1850, right there. The pink down here at 1604 is my actual cost basis. And then some of the calls up here at 38, way up here. or no, what was it? 20, whatever. I was thinking of Celsius instead of CSIQ at 2150. Yeah, sorry. 2150. Now I could have gone for the 40% return down a little higher. I went for a higher return on that one. But it is moving around too. So I went for the 2150s. Got paid 35 cents. I rolled it out actually. So there we go. And it's been pretty spicy the last few days. Generating premium, cash flowing. All righty. Yeah, this is so on Fridays, we're going to start talking about how to manage open positions and what I'm doing. Show that off. And then Mondays, we're going to start focusing on how to find new positions to get into. And, going through generating a list, figuring out where it is we play, how to find these. And so that's kind of the idea behind the show moving forward. We're gonna be on a Monday, Friday schedule. In case you didn't hear, Jack did retire this week. So down to me.
Down to me, says Jeffrey. It's up to Jeffrey now.
Yeah, it'll be the turbo wheel report, and there'll be some changes to it moving forward. So,
and I'll still be on here asking questions because sometimes Jack and Jeffrey, man, they're geniuses, right? Jackie. Jeffrey, he knows his stuff, and I just sit there sometimes, and I'm like, I just got to ask this question so that I can understand. So that's what I'm gonna start doing.
Yeah.
Mara, we got time for Mara? Oh, we're running out of time here.
Yeah, we need to talk about this Termite Trading Lab thing. I
think so.
Give everybody the opportunity to join that. The in-person event is coming up June 18, 19, which is just a couple weeks away. A couple short weeks, 1, 2, 3 weeks away. Right there, we'll have special surprise on the 18th for people that come in person. It you won't be a part of it if you're virtual. Just put it that way. So if you want to get in on the action, you might be part of the special thing that happening in person. Make sure you get into Termite Trading Lab, book your spot for the in-person event, and we'll be giving you more details about all that. And my 50K challenge, and how do you get to see all these trades I do as I do them on the turbo wheel? It's all part of Termite Trading Lab. And without further ado, Blake, if you want to kick that presentation off.
I do. I thought I had it pulled up here, but apparently I did not. So let me grab it real fast.
Apparently you're a stalker.
Apparently so. Apparently. All right, here we go. I got this. And the link is fixed for Market Masters, so we're good to go.
All right, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Jeffrey. We'll see you on Monday.
Thank you. See y'all later.
Results. We're going to talk about Jeffrey's trading system. We're going to focus on one, but we'll also talk about a couple of his other strategies as we get a little bit deeper in here, and you'll see some of the feedback from his customers across lots of different things. Obviously, again, the $50,000 challenge is a personal challenge that he built for himself to generate $50K per month. It's not necessarily going to be the same for everyone, but to meet that, he started with 116 grand with the goal to grow that to $1.6 million. That's going to be over a several year period. And that number, that 1.6 million, would basically position him to make about 50K a month at that level from the account. So that's the challenge. It's not 50 grand a year, it's 50 grand a month once he snowballs it to that level. Again, different account sizes, different starting stakes, different pace, all of that. You have to understand that for yourself, trade at your own risk. And if you have any questions, we have information on our Prosperity Pub homepage. But that's kind of the challenge that Jeffrey's laying out. And just one more time, even though we're going to talk about incredibly high probability statistics here today, doesn't mean it's guaranteed. Losers can happen. They will happen eventually. Not a black box miracle system that, just get Jeffrey's secret key, plug it into your computer, and it just deposits money in your bank account. We haven't figured that one out yet. If someone can figure that out, it'll probably be Jeffrey, but we haven't figured it out yet. Okay, so this is still trading where
We're gonna
where risk will occur. Just to be extra super clear on that. So thanks again, guys, for being here, taking some time out of your day and out of your weekend to be here. My name's Nate Tucci. I'm the publisher here at Prosperity Pub. I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces, but if you don't know me, I'm Nate. Thanks for being here. And today we're talking about one statistical market advantage that has given Jeffrey a 99.7%, yes, that number's correct, probability. And he's mapped out a trading blueprint using that he's calling the 5-year income challenge. Now, this is a cut and paste method with a pretty lofty goal in mind to double this account year over year, every year, for the next 5 years in a row. And if he can do that, if he can double it for 5 years in a row, he claims that will get him to the point where it's able to consistently generate about $50,000 in monthly income just from that one account, freeing him from the day-to-day worries of watching his accounts and not even having to worry about providing for his family, because it'll all be taken care of on the spot if he can hit that level. Now, for any other trader out there, I would be a little bit skeptical about such an audacious goal. He's talking about doubling it 5 years in a row without a hiccup along the way. But with Jeffrey, I really think he has a pretty good shot to get this done. And I think you guys will probably agree as we go through this. Now, he has an unmatched reputation when it comes to actually doing this, to actually achieving supercharged account growth. Before he was even famous, I joked yesterday, Jeffrey, you're famous now. It's in the slide, so that means you're officially famous. But before that, you had 10x your family's account over the course of, a little bit longer time span, 20 years or so, from 27,000 to 250,000, which most people would be pretty darn happy with that. But that was really before the supercharge hit, where you took the 250,000 and turned it into north of 1.4 million in literally just a few months after that kind of 250K tipping point. And it's not like you just got lucky. Jeffrey's been able to show these type of supercharged returns over and over and over and over again across a lot of his top performing services. I know some of you in here are proof of that. Like when he took this straightforward strategy designed for beginners that is 17-0 since February of 2025 with a 21K profit. And the fun part here is that's just by buying stock. There's not even any options involved in that $20,000 plus return. And many of his top students have seen 2x returns or even bigger on individual trades over the years with Jeffrey. I actually have some of my own triple-digit trades that I stole from Jeffrey over the years. We have Penny, who made 537%. Barry there is about a 300% winner. Michael, 111, 200% for Steve, 162% for Lucas, 150% for David, and on and on and on we have from Jeffrey's students. Again, I see a couple of you guys in here as well. So if anyone is capable of showing folks how to double their account in a year or less, well, obviously I think it has to be Jeffrey. The proof is in the pudding, as they say, right? That's why I gave him a call and asked him to drop everything and do this kind of impromptu session. Because as you guys will hear about this whole snowball idea was kind of building up to something separate that we would probably introduce later on down the road. But we shift gears a little bit and we decided we're going to kind of do something a little bit unique today and talk about the entire challenge for the first time publicly with everyone out there. So you guys are in the right spot for that. We're going to walk you through it step by step, showing you exactly what Jeffrey is doing with this challenge. Plus, he's going to open the door for a very small group of students to follow along with exactly what he's doing in this 50K challenge, which means you would get alerted to every single entry and exit in real time, allowing anyone to tag along for the exact same journey, maybe with a different starting stake, but the exact same journey that Jeffrey's on if you guys want to take part in that. Now, just to be clear, and I want to be very clear about this challenge definitely won't be for everyone. And there's actually several reasons why it won't be for everyone that we'll get into. But specifically, if you are looking for that AI shortcut miracle stock, this is not going to be the webinar for you. You're going to want to log off right now. That is not what we're talking about. If you're wanting to game on a home run, hit that once in a blue moon, buy Amazon in 1999, good luck, man. Maybe you'll be one of the few, but this is not it. This is not going to be for you. You're not going to be excited about what we're talking about if you're looking for the penny stock that's going to make you rich over, the next 2 months. Instead, the 5-year income challenge, notice 5 year, we're not talking about 5 months, we're talking about 5 year. is designed to help slowly and steadily grow wealth one trade at a time. Okay, so if that sounds appealing to you, this is your webinar. If the other thing sounds appealing to you, this is not your webinar. Now, in Jeffrey's case, he's going to start out with about 100 grand. He's going to aim to grow it over the next 5 years to the point where it's capable of helping him target $50,000 in monthly income consistently every month. Now, obviously, not everyone is going to be starting with $100,000, right? We have a whole big range of people in this room right now. So if that's you, don't worry, you're not out. Even accounts with a smaller starting stake can absolutely take advantage of this same approach. We've had all sorts of folks with all different size accounts follows Jeffrey's approach so far. These are members in Jeffrey's inner circle that get early access to everything he does. Those are the only ones who have seen, this challenge up till now. And you can actually hear some of their stories on how they've done that using this and some of the other trades from Jeffrey's inner circle they get access to, like Sledge, who added $110,000 to his account in a year. Okay, not too bad, I would say. He was up 46% year over year, and then continued to grow till he hit over 100 grand. And then there's Goose, who some of you guys have heard, and some of you guys have actually even met. He did even better, made $260,000 in a single year. That's not a bad year for your typical retail trader, I would say.
Yeah, a little bit bigger account too.
A little bit bigger account, of course. Yep, 260K though. And then David, he'd actually said, I'm going to one-up Goose, and he did $1 million. And the growth there was insane because David didn't give us the exact balance, but he said it was about a 4x. So we assume like right around 250 grand starting and made $1 million. That's pretty darn good. He had one day that was as high as 30 grand. Not a bad day. And then another day, which is really crazy, where he actually had a $250,000 single day of net returns. Kind of like if you've seen Jeffrey's account statements, some of those crazy days he had back in COVID, where he had just had some monster days. And so today, Jeffrey's planning to reveal the strategy that lies at the heart of so much of that success. We're going to walk through the number one factor holding folks back from growing their account. We're going to talk about the statistical edge that has the power to make this jaw-dropping 5-year income challenge possible. We're also going to talk about how the little move by the CBOE back in 2022 incidentally supercharged really how quickly this whole snowball idea can actually be possible. And then the one trade, specifically based on that 2022 CBOE deal, that you can literally place every day the market is open and target extra cash with that high probability edge. Plus, the secret hack to day trading without, big underline there, without getting dinged. In other words, you can do this even though it's a daily trade. You can do it without your broker, yelling at you and sending you nasty emails about your day trade limit. So keep an eye on that because we will get into that. Now, if you don't know Jeffrey, I'm sure most of you do. By the way, give me a quick yes in the chat if you guys are all very familiar with Jeffrey, or if maybe you're a little bit newer. As LDM posted, he's been doing the snowball trade and made 40 grand since February on it. So there you go. Okay, so most of you sounds like it, but for those of you who don't know, Jeffrey a couple years ago would not have been the guy that you expected to come here and give a briefing like this. But that's exactly why I think that you need to listen carefully to what he has to say, because he's not an Ivy League guy. He doesn't have a flashy Wall Street background at all. He runs a small regional civil engineering firm with his dad in Tennessee. That's the building you guys built there. And just like I'm sure for most of folks, including myself, Jeffrey's not here, trading so that he can have a flashy plaque on his desk that says he's a millionaire. He's trading to make life better for him, for his family, for his kids, much like myself. There's a lot bigger deal here than just being a cool trader who can say I made lots of money in the market.
One cool thing about that, they make, in this building we built right here, they make paint for SpaceX.
Oh, nice.
Like an ultra black, can't buy it anywhere else. Like this ultra black paint that they paint the satellites with for SpaceX. That's what they build in that building.
They should have given you a discount on your Cybertruck just for that.
I wish.
Well, like many of you, Jeffrey's story is a lot more similar to, quote unquote, us regular folks than your Wall Street elites, because he spent years teaching himself, studying from experts, and trying to chart a path through the stock market. As he'll soon explain, it all clicked when he discovered a statistical advantage that helps him forecast stock moves with insane accuracy. Some of you guys will know we kind of joke sometimes that Jeffrey is like the big prediction guy because he's had so many of these big ones hit. And that's the discovery that helped him grow his family's trading accounts from $250,000 to over $1.4 million in just a few months. Again, that was back in 2020, 2021. And now he's here to prove to everybody in this room that he can actually do that again. His goal is to take a modest account, double it every year until it's capable of pulling $50,000 per month out of the stock market. So Jeffrey, thanks for being here. I know this was not exactly our initial plan for talking about this, but I'm excited to get into it. So let's just cut right to it. What is the game plan here? The double your account challenge. What is the actual plan here?
All right, Nate, I want to thank you for taking time and your family for giving you up for a little bit to be here with me. Today I want to open everybody's eyes to what I believe might be one of the best ways to try and turn the stock market into your own kind of secret income weapon you just have in your back pocket here, all by tapping into a historical statistical advantage that has basically forecasted daily market moves with a 99.7% accuracy for as long as there's been a market. This is one that's already delivered some pretty nice same-day paydays for me over and over and over again just by making one little trade and knowing, the secret about how the market moves. Now, before we get too deep into this, I want to be very, very clear about something very important for everybody here. Today, I'm sharing a pretty audacious challenge that I've laid out for myself. Like, this was my plan, my challenge, I didn't have any goals to advertise this or anything like that. I want to reach the point where I generate $50,000 a month from the market consistently, repeatably, and safely. And so I can count on it right there. And even though I did get this crystal ball this week from my members as a 5-year gift of being a guru, this year makes 5 years I've been doing this. But it doesn't seem to be calibrated. I don't seem to have that magic wand to be able to calibrate it just right. I've got my bag of unicorn dust. I've tried to sprinkle on it, but it just doesn't seem to work. As far as I know, nobody can really see in the future, right? There's no guarantees. I make big, bold predictions. I get them right, but sometimes I do get it wrong. And I might not hit the goal in the time frame. It might not be 5 years. It may be 6, maybe 7. I mean, there's always the possibility that I meet my demise before I hit the goal and I never reach it. Knock on wood, I plan on getting there as long as I'm here kicking. If you want to follow along, understand that there is risk of loss in every trade that I do on this journey right here. I could mess up. I could lose money. I can't guarantee anything out there. That's why I tell everybody, don't risk more than you can afford to lose. I mean that. Like, if you need this money to pay your rent, put food on the table for you, your kids, your wife, your grandkids, whatever it is, don't risk that money in the market at all. And with all that said, I think it's kind of a total misunderstanding about risk that holds a lot of traders back from reaching goals. See, a lot of people just approach trading completely upside down. Nate, you've seen this too. I mean, try to take a small amount of money. I've got $500. I need to get this to $1 million as fast as I can. And you're going to take some crazy 300, 400, 500% potentials that have an extremely unlikely probability workouts. I mean, that's if they win. Maybe you get 50%, I mean, that's kind of like treating the stock market like a lottery ticket. You might as well go buy a Powerball or, Mega Millions, whatever it is, and try to bet that way. Going all in on unlikely options and hoping for the best. You got to know that you're going to lose a lot more than you win when you do that. I don't think that approach has ever really made long-term stable gains for anybody in the market. Sure, there's been stories of people getting it right in a short duration, making huge amounts of money, but it's not repeatable, right? Especially given the current market environment. I mean, it's basically impossible with the whipsaws, ups and downs, and up 2%, down 2%. I mean, crazy market volatility we've had in the last couple of years. Trying to hit all or nothing trades is like throwing dice right there, trying to guess the numbers that you're going to land on while they're still in the air. Simply put, odds are kind of stacked against you right here. But I take a fundamentally different approach that helps turn this whole process on its head. So instead of guessing which way the market might move and then hope that I got it right, I simply use a unparalleled historical statistical advantage that, you know, tells me where the market won't end up 99% of the time. See, I marked my line down here in the sand, well below current price at a level that most of the time we never even see the price get to. And with this statistical advantage, the numbers are shockingly good. In fact, according to these statistics, we have a better chance at flipping a coin and getting 8 heads in a row than we do to lose at this level I'm playing in the market. I mean, that's pretty darn good odds of seeing the trade work out in my favor. So I simply place a quick trade about the same time every day. And as long as everything works out like it normally would, I can collect a healthy payday when the markets close. It pushes me one step closer to my goal each and every time I do this. In this example right here, $900 on about an $84,000 risk. For example, take a look at the trade I took back on Wednesday, March 11th. Now, that morning, stock market not looking so hot. Markets were dropping like a stone, and it looked like the bleed out might continue all day. But for some reasons that I'm going to clear up here in a minute, I knew the markets would stay above this line. At least had a 99.7% chance that it was going to stay above that line. Meaning there were better odds of rolling triple sixes on the dice than seeing the markets drop below my line. So I placed a quick trade that would pay me as long as the market stayed above the line. And anybody that followed along would have rode that into a nice profit, about $900 with about a $79,000 risk there. Nice winner right there. And that's really how my 5-year income challenge is, supercharging itself right here. It's not designed to be some sort of pipe dream about becoming an overnight millionaire. It's about leveraging this statistical advantage that boasts 99.7% certainty each and every day that the market's open, and then letting the market do the work for me, running its usual course. And when things work out, it allows my account to start scaling over time. Like the very next day, I scaled some more. Thursday, March 12th. The market roller coaster, we get some pops and drops along the way, but grinding lower. And for a lot of people, flip a coin, right?
Yep.
You might have a better luck if you flipped a coin and just traded that way. But not for me, because I had this statistical advantage in my back pocket. And it would have been more likely for maybe Nate's wife to pop out 8 straight boys than to see the market close below this level here. I know you're on the girl train right now, but
we're on the girl train, but not 8 straight. We're not quite there, Jeffrey. We're a little ways off.
And trust me, this isn't something that's probably ever going to happen, right? I mean, Nate, they're on the girl train, so. So I placed a trade about 1 p.m. That's, roughly 1:30, somewhere. That's about the time I like to get in. And then I sent this out to a small group of my most elite traders. Once again, for anybody following along, that the 5-year income challenge right there would have kept on rolling almost $1,000 before we got to, basically when we got to the closing bell, before we got to dinner.
All right, so let's just pause here for a second because we went through a couple examples there. So 2 trades, those were back to back. We're not skipping any days here. You guys will see. We're not going to skip days. We're going to go through each day. $1,920 automatically would have dropped in folks' accounts just by kind of the last couple hours of the day, waiting for them to hit. So if you put that in perspective, if you dropped $50,000 into a high yield savings account, this is kind of what we were saying about misunderstanding risk maybe a little bit, because you're putting that $50,000 of capital to work in the same time frame. You would have made a whopping $10.50 over those couple of days. And that's, even with yields actually being decent right now compared to what they usually would be. So it's no wonder retirement usually takes 30 to 40 years for most folks. And that's, if you're lucky, you kind of don't have any 2008s along the way. But what you're trying to do is with this 5-year income challenge is make that speed a lot more attainable. We're not talking about overnight, but a lot faster compounding and to make it a lot more attainable for most folks. Obviously, again, not overnight, but if you can stack up $800, $900, $1,000, $1,100, if you do that every day, obviously over the course of the year, that's that snowball. So let's jump into a couple more details. Tell us what the actual statistical advantage is that you're talking about, because we keep saying 99.7%. And then how on earth did you actually find out about it and put it to use?
All right, Nate. It all kind of started like years ago. I was kind of in a webinar, a lot like this one. And, I spent 20 years trying just about everything out there trying to forecast the markets. I learned pretty much everything there was to learn. It seemed like nothing actually worked. I mean, I learned fundamentals, I learned technicals, I learned all these different things, and it seemed like nothing ever worked. But I was in a chat room, during the webinar. A friend of mine told me about this math-based approach that if I really internalized it and focused on it, then maybe it would actually help me because I seem serious about actually doing this. And this one's been studied by the Fed itself, the CBOE, and more elite schools than I probably even know about that are out there. So I started diving into this myself and teaching myself about it. Really going all in. I attended online trainings. I paid a lot of money for it over the years just to soak up every resource and try to get in touch with the awesome traders that knew more than I knew about this stuff. As a result, I learned that there's actually a historical statistical fact hiding under the surface of pretty much every day in the market. All moves, everything in the market. Now, shockingly enough, it had nothing to do with mind-numbing fundamentals. Everybody tells you to read the earnings, read the revenue, price to sales, and all those numbers. It has nothing to do with any of that. It didn't require lagging indicators that, RSIs and MACDs and this and that's and, you name it, never worked for me. I've tried them, I've failed them, moved on. Now, all those approaches focus on projecting like a theory, kind of. I mean, that's how I put it. Projecting a theory and then try to trade that theory. And as soon as I discovered that the real path to success in the market wasn't trading based on direction or hunches, buying opportunities, if you will, in stocks, but instead understanding the math hiding beneath the surface and trading only when the odds were ridiculously in my favor. And that's when I kind of started putting it into practice and everything really changed. Over the course of a few months, I went from, just kind of chopping around down on his luck trader with a few wins here, a few big wins, a lot of losses, probably more than I care to admit. I mean, I've blown up lots of accounts over the years. I went to, kind of transformed into a guy that feels confident, getting on here, making big, bold predictions like you talked about. I'm kind of the big, bold prediction guy. And more importantly, I can trade them for profit. That's what it really comes down to. This allows me to take a small, what was a small nest egg retirement account, which took nearly 20 years to really kind of, I didn't know this stuff back then. So it was learning this stuff and building it along the way. And then after I kind of learned this stuff, I was able to quadruple it into about 1.4 million in just a couple short months. And that's kind of what got me started down this path of helping other people. Fast forward to today, I'm humbled that my success opens the door for me to teach all sorts of people how to do this. And it's possible for you to do it too. And the stories that I get they mean so much more to me than I can describe. It's at my core to help other people. That's one of my core tenets as a person. Like David here, look at that, $8,000 in a single trade right there. Beautiful. And that's just gold right there. Jacob, Carol, Will, we're seeing all sorts of crazy results. I mean, Jacob, 10K, David over here, 30K, Will over here, 30K. I mean, Carol, almost 30K. I mean, that's like ridiculous numbers, right? Andrew here making $41,000 in a month. In a month. That's pretty darn good right there. Indy right here, one of my top students in my inner circle, she said she was able to replace her job in 2025 and trade with me full time. I suspect she's not alone in being able to replace the job. That's not something that happens overnight. She worked hard to get there. So here's the thing you should know. Every single one of these success stories, though, ties back to the same statistical edges that I learned all those years ago. Now, of course, if you have a day job, you certainly shouldn't quit just because of a guy here on Zoom telling you this stuff's going to work, right? I mean, but this statistical edge I'm talking about has the power to help this new start, which, it could give you a new start that it's probably different from any other that you might have done in the past or heard in the past or tried in the past, because it allows all of us to target a daily payday right from the stock market with a very high degree of certainty. Now, of course, just because we have huge historical edge doesn't mean that this is going to work every single time. There's significant risk of loss every time we put our money in the market. every trade. So what it does mean, though, is that we remove emotion and uncertainty pretty much entirely. And it lets us trade with pure statistical proven data and confidence, unlike anything I've seen in the market, and gain that consistency. So here's how this all works. You ever seen this curve before, Nate? I mean, maybe it's been horizontal for you, but this is a standard.
Reminds me of stats class in high school.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's a standard bell curve right here. That's a standard bell curve, and it kind of tells us the statistical probability of any given outcome is, if it follows a bell curve outcome. And it applies to all sorts of things in life, from the height of Nate's kids, how tall they're going to grow, to maybe how intelligent everybody is out there. Out of every two people you meet, one of them's above average and one of them's below average intelligence. Think about that. Even the changes in the weather kind of follow this bell curve pattern. But most importantly, it also tells us where the stock market's likely to move. That's where I really put this thing to work. So let me show you what I mean. Here's the same kind of bell curve, this time plotted with the NASDAQ here. And now this line in the middle, that represents the average outcome of the stock market each day. And it fluctuates around. This is not like one time you do this and it's good for every time. It's, we got to do this every day. And in fact, we do it late in the day. So we have a very high degree of certainty where the stock price is going to end up. And that midline is the average. Like I said, take two of anything. One's above average, one's below average. If you just win at the average, you got a 50-50 shot at this baby. However, once we jump out to what's called the first standard deviation right here, a little bit further away from the mean, from the average. And all right, I'm kind of getting nerdy here for you. Like Nate said, it jumps back to his high school statistics class. I took college level statistics classes and stuff, but you don't really have to have that level of knowledge here. You could talk to an AI and it'll tell it to explain it to you like you're 5, and it'll break it all down really clear for you. But it kind of simply tells us, if we play in this one standard deviation, that there's a 68.2% chance the market finishes somewhere between those two lines. I mean, now we're starting to talk about something we could probably start to count on, right? 68% of the time. That's starting to sound pretty good. Then we jump out to the second standard deviation. And this is where it really, really starts speaking to me right here. In fact, the market's finished between these two levels 95.4% of the time. That's starting to sound like something that's really high probability, right? Now, if you move out to the third standard deviation, this is where things get ridiculous, as far as I'm concerned. Because historically speaking, based on centuries of data, tons of statistical professors and junk like that, the markets will finish between these two lines 99.7% of the time. That's starting to be pretty ridiculous, right? 99.7% of the time, you could be right if you could play at those levels. Thanks to the option market, it allows us to target those exact levels every day. We can now use this incredible statistical advantage to target cash on the market with the most consistent approach I've ever seen. Like, for example, my trade Thursday, February 26th, right here. In the morning, we're selling off hard. I mean, it's kind of been the story of the year, right? The market seems to sell off hard every morning. And thanks to this 5-year income challenge and the statistical advantage that I've built into it, I was confident that I'd kind of finish inside this range here with a 99.7%, kind of certainty. So about 1 o'clock that afternoon, I placed a quick trade, betting on that exact outcome, betting that the market's not going to melt down in the last 3 hours. And a few hours later, market closed. I was $750 to the good on that, and if you had followed along with the risk I had on, you could have walked away with that kind of money too. It was the same thing the very next day, Friday, February 27th. Even though the stock market started higher, we kind of rolled off a little bit and, maybe kind of went flat. We had that extreme confidence, though, that the final outcome is going to stay above this third standard deviation down here, 99.7% of the time. So I just placed a quick trade. About 1 o'clock, sent it to a few of my inner circle members, and when the market closed out, everything worked. That day was a pretty darn good day, about $1,000 right there, without even hardly breaking a sweat.
Yeah, so let me just cut in here again. That one actually was well over 1%, by the way, in a couple hours. So that's compound over 1% a day. Just ask ChatGPT to do those numbers for you. They're going to be pretty good. But with 2 trades, those are back to back again. We're not skipping days here. We're not cherry picking trades. Back to back days there. $1,750 Thursday and Friday going into the weekend. Even on like we said, some pretty chaotic markets this year. So imagine making nearly $2,000 in pocket change. Just again on 2 trades before the weekend that never even got anywhere near that level. That'd be enough to rent your dream car for a joyride. Although I hope your dream car is not a Porsche. You need something more exciting than that. Maybe even a little beach resort for the weekend there if you grab $1,750. But obviously, I think what you're showing us, it's about way more than just, hey, I want some extra spending cash. That's really actually not the goal at all here of what you're talking about. I mean, sure, if people want to pull some money out, but your 5-year income challenge is a blueprint to help people really achieve the ultimate goal of trading, which I think is probably true for most of us in here. We want our accounts to generate enough cash that we have peace of mind, that things are taken care of because we built our account to the level that is consistent enough that just makes us, hey, maybe the market goes down, maybe it goes up, maybe inflation's high, maybe inflation's low, but I'm good because I have my money working for me in an effective way. And so your idea here is that you're going to try to build that account over the next couple of years until it gets to that point where it's generating $50,000 in extra income consistently, month in and month out. Now, obviously, that's a pretty lofty goal. I mean, $50,000 a month on a consistent basis, because $50,000. I mean, I've had months where I've made $50,000, but $50,000 every month consistently is very difficult. Most people aren't going to sit here and say, "Yeah, no, my account always makes $50,000." But let's just be clear. Yeah,
it's tough.
It is. We're not talking about private jet money. We're not talking about Bezos billionaires. We're not talking about house on the Amalfi Coast. That was easy for me to say. Amalfi Coast either. What we're talking about is a way to try to actually get your account to the point where you're not worried about financial stress. You actually have consistent, considerable income coming in every single month, and it's a snowball. So, it's never actually going to go net down from there. Maybe that's to help put your kids and grandkids through college, which I have a lot to worry about on that front, to pay off your house or even upgrade when the time comes. But most importantly, a way that can help eliminate the stress of bills, debt, unexpected expenses forever if your account is able to produce that. So, Jeffrey, tell us, are you waiting till the stock drops, right, and then betting on that bounce, or what's the actual execution of the trade?
No. Like, our 5-year income challenge is way more simple. I'm not trying to really bet on anything happening. It's more like betting on things not to happen. There's no need to time an entry, buy the dip. I mean, we're just taking advantage of math here. What we want is to focus on is this bottom line all the way down in here in this third standard deviation. That way we have a ton of downside buffer for the market to do shenanigans. Now, this level isn't just a theoretical price that looks good based on candlestick patterns or, charts or, I got a feeling that this is a good spot. No. It's the third standard deviation away from the mean of price, where we know that statistically speaking, 99.7% of all market outcomes should finish above this buffer level right here. To put that in perspective, it's about as likely that you'd guess a stranger's birthday on the street at random than it is the stock falls below this line any given day in the market. Think about that. It's way more likely you would flip heads on a quarter 8 times in a row than it is for the market to drop below my level, or draw pocket aces on consecutive hands right there playing poker or whatever. It's just not very likely, right? And it's this kind of statistical advantage that I'm taking advantage of. All we have to do is place a bet each day that the stock won't do this crazy move and end up below my downside buffer right there. When everything works out, it's turned out to be some of the most straightforward cash I've ever seen in my entire life. Repeatable. I've done it 112 days in a row as of yesterday. Typically takes 2 to 3 hours in the market. That's it. For example, one of my trades, Monday, March 2nd, right here. That morning, the market bounced around, moving a little higher, and then, pulling back a little bit, then moving higher again. But by about 1 p.m., I knew that downside buffer was down around 24,660. And as we all know, NASDAQ's below that now. That was 300 points lower, though, than the midday price. And there was a 99.7% historical chance that the markets weren't going to melt down like that in the afternoon. Put another way, the statistical odds of hitting this trade successfully were 332 times out of 333 attempts. Think about that for a second.
It's not bad.
So I placed this trade with a lot of confidence. I know that I just know I can leverage the odds and pull cash out of the markets like this. And then 3 hours later, anybody that was following along for that one, of course, walked away with some cash in their accounts right there as the market closed. Or the next day, Tuesday, March 3rd, do it all over again. Didn't really matter what the market was doing in the morning or in the afternoon. I got ready to place the trade, knowing that I had that statistical advantage. 332 attempts are going to work out of 333, and we're going to finish above this line. So I entered my trade with confidence, looking to continue my 5-year income challenge as scheduled. And when the markets closed a few hours later, I walked away with another $855. These are actually real trades that are pulled out of my real brokerage account, by the way. We get the same shot to do this every day, day after day. Like, for example, the very next trade, Wednesday, March 4th, I didn't have to sweat what the markets were doing. I just placed my trade right around 1:30, betting the markets wouldn't finish below the downside buffer. And this time, market quietly ground a little higher, finishing about 300 points above the downside buffer where I was positioned. And that meant another 5-year income challenge payday for everybody following along, about $800 on that day, right there. The next day, Tuesday, March 5th, same story. The market started pretty choppy, but I didn't have to bet with any certainty where it would finish. I just bet where it wouldn't finish.
Right.
And as long as it didn't go below my downside buffer right there, like it didn't, I got paid once again, $952. That's a pretty outsized day right there. No sweat. And to close out the week, March 6th, do it all over again. Downside buffer way down here. All the details are down there. I sent the trade to my inner circle right around 1 again and cashed in. Even though it dipped toward me, never got down to me. That's another $900 right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible, just day after day after day after day doing those. So I did get to look at your tracker myself. We went through pretty much every trade. And so what I have to say is that when you use the 3 standard deviations, I know you have a couple trades that you've done fluctuations on, but the 3 standard deviations, correct me if I'm wrong, not a single loser yet in over 100 different market sessions.
Yeah, when I stick to the rules, I have tried to be more aggressive and play closer, and I've proved to myself that don't touch the hot stove and do that.
Yeah.
I've tried to push the limits, and I keep getting taught to just stay at the 3rd standard deviation. Every trade I've placed at that 3rd standard deviation has worked out without fail for 112 days in a row now. It's absolutely crazy. I mean,
yeah, but this is kind of what I was saying at the beginning. It does seem a little too simple and obvious. Like we talk about, we'll just make 1% a day and grow your account. It just seems very simple and very obvious when you actually put it in those terms. So why doesn't everyone just say, yeah, I'll make 1% a day. I'll compound my account, and get rich over, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, whatever.
Well, Nate, I've even talked to other people we work with, and you have to understand that this isn't like glorious numbers here. Right. I snowballed up to these $700, $800, $900 numbers. In the beginning, I was making $20, $30, $40 each trade. This isn't like a get rich quick scheme here. It's not kind of eye catching, scratch off, go to the moon, moonshot, rocket ship, diamond hand type of stuff here. As always, I can't promise any future returns, but there's nothing guaranteed in the markets, right? Except that we're going to open one day and we're going to close one day. The truth is, though, most traders don't have patience and discipline to do this. That's what I found. And that's why this is not necessarily for everybody, because it takes a lot of patience, discipline, and personal accountability to be able to do this every day. They'd rather burn up all their cash gambling on 2, 3, 4, 500% gainers, at least the potential for that, than they are to take a statistically advantaged trade, right? Those gambles are tilted against you. Meanwhile, I think that most people would categorize my 5-year income challenge as pretty much boring. In fact, we've done some polls, and it's like less than 10% of traders would actually want to do this trade because it seems like it's too much risk for too little money, and it's going to take too much time to get to your goals. It's just what people tell me. Like I've done this, I've asked groups a dozen times, and that's the same feedback I get all the time. And honestly, I could care less what people think about it because this boring method is having me posting some of the biggest profits I've ever been able to post, more consistently than I've ever been able to post.
That's what people have a hard time wrapping their head around. The boring method over time gets you to the, it's just hard for most of us to actually get there mentally, to just being perfectly honest.
And, especially considering how lousy the markets have been the last 6 months, NASDAQ topped out in October and it hasn't made a higher high since October. That just, now I guess I heard on the news last night, as of the close yesterday, we're entering a bear market, or officially entering a correction. That's tough, right? I mean, in fact, a little under a year ago, I started actually posting all of these trades in a publicly audited account with this method. In less than a year, I already hit the double mark right there. And of course, like you said, I touched the hot stove. I tried to be a hot shot and take one that was a little closer and took a little bit of a step back from that. But I already doubled this account, and I doubled another account that I don't show publicly with this same method right here. That was $87,000 in profit right there. Is that boring? $87,000 in a year? Is that boring? To anybody?
Not too bad.
I dare you. Ask any guru to actually post their profit and loss publicly and show you consistency like this in their gains. I bet all of that $87,000 basically going head to head with any approach out there that I could do this again and again and again with consistency. Now, it's important to be clear, of course. A trade's going to go against me, especially if I don't follow the rules. And I've proved that a couple times already in that account. There's going to be some black swan event that is the 0.3% or the 0.01% that we have no way to predict. And it could tank the markets right in the last minute of the day. That's just life of trading, right? We can't know for certain that everything is going to be A-okay. But think about it. There's only 250 trades a year. There's only 250 trading days a year. You got 52 weeks, 5 days a week, but we have all these holidays that takes out basically 2 weeks. So you end up with like 250 trading days a year. Each time we trade, that statistical advantage is 332 out of 333. So that's actually more than a year right there. So that's one loss every 2 years-ish. That's a huge historical advantage in our favor. So we've got this upper hand every time we target these daily returns. Those odds are pretty crazy like every time I sit there and think about it, it's just nuts right there. And since I'm usually only targeting like 1% a day with this setup, the overall numbers start to be ridiculous. Like you said, ask ChatGPT, what's 1% a day
Right.
compounded 250 days? If you ask it that question, you're going to see a number that you're like, holy beep. It's stupid. Like, it's actually stupid. I showed you and you were like, well, that's not really believable. I mean, seriously. I feel like 100% ROI each year, doubling my account. That's reasonable, even if I do some stupid stuff. It's hard to not do stupid stuff sometimes as traders. I'm a real trader with a real money, sometimes I look at that. I'm like, I could make a little bit extra this day and then touch the hot stove. You learn not to do that. But 100% is all I need to target my goals. That's all I need for the account. So if I have a trade that makes 1% a day, it can get me there. It grows my account balance to the point where I can consistently do 50,000 on extra income every month for me and my family, and I can help friends and family and, take care of mom and dad and, all the things right there.
Yeah, I mean, this has been pretty cool. And like I said, I'm going to do the mission. The idea of the double your account every year, it's kind of the same thing as the 1%. We're so spoiled now with big options returns that people say something like, oh, I'm going to double my account. And they're like, oh, that's not that great. And then you're like, wait a minute, that's 3 times better than the best hedge funds in the history of the world. That's actually pretty good. But then you do it a couple of years in a row and then it gets really crazy. So I think it'd be foolish to pass you up on this. I think the proof is in the pudding so far on what you've done, especially because, like we've talked about, this is not just theory. You've done it with your live account, and you have students who have been able to follow along in your inner circle and, be able to put up some amazing numbers too. This is from David, who doubled his account, or just about there, in 3 months, starting with the $60,000 account. So from 60K to about 112,000. Another one, David A. David outdid David here, and made 70,000 so far with a $10,000 day to finish it off. Pretty awesome there from David A. I'm not sure if Dave's in the chat, but pretty awesome. And then Sledge, who we mentioned earlier, he said that he did $72,000 in a month and actually had a $36,000 one peak day within that month. Pretty awesome, real money returns from real people who started out just like, normal retail traders like us, just trying to figure it out. And we're able to find you and find a method that actually works.
And he was replying to David A., who had just said the previous thing.
He's one up. I like it. And then there's Laura, again, another double your account person who's just kind of on that track record right now, doubled the $50,000 account in less than the year. So again, your numbers, I don't know if we go into this a little bit later, but your numbers are technically a little better than doubling in a year if your average is 1%. So
a little bit, yeah.
So if you're trading with an edge that has a 99.7% statistical odds paying out in your favor, then the results don't actually seem all that out of the ordinary, because if the numbers hold up, well, then it's just math. It would actually happen. So this is the point where I'm not even shocked when I see a new story get posted almost every week from some of your students. Hey, I'm up 30 grand this week. I'm up 40 grand this month. I doubled my account. I've doubled my account twice. We have a pretty massive library of that kind of feedback from your folks now over the last few years.
Yeah.
And so then, which I know we have a whole bunch of people in the chat who have already asked this question, but let me ask it to you now. How do we actually get started? Because again, this whole idea, this 50K challenge was not really supposed to be something we're talking about yet in March of 2026. We were kind of working our way up to something, but we pulled some strings, and I'm pretty excited. That's why I'm here today on a Saturday to do this with you, because we do have a way for people to get started with the 5-year income challenge if they want to take you up on this idea.
Now, unfortunately, access to this trade by itself, it's not really available in real time. I do post a few of them on social media and stuff like that, but I don't really post it real time. I usually give my insider group time to do the trade. You can't just subscribe to these trade alerts. We don't actually have a service because people say it's boring right there. And instead, we have this kind of locked up in my insider group, exclusively for my insider group. There's a handful of students who get full access to everything I do, everything I produce, these trades and a variety of other trades that I do inside this. This is not the only trade I do in this 5-year income challenge account. I mean, I have this 5-year income challenge, and those insiders get every twist and turn, every deposit, every withdrawal, everything I do in this account. They get to see every single bit of it. And they hold me accountable to it too. When I'm doing stupid stuff, they're like, hey, I think you were doing stupid stuff. In fact, a member posted, I don't know if it's last night or this morning, that she was worried about what I was doing. But she's glad to know that I own and admit that I wasn't following the rules. So, I mean, if you wanted every entry and exit I make alerted in real time, that's how you get it. And this is where I attempt to grow the accounts. And I'm going to show everybody how I manage this whole portfolio and generate $50,000 a month in income from the stock market, with all the alerts going right into my private Discord channel. Now, as you may have heard, maybe I say this in other places recently, my inner circle membership, it's hard to get into. We don't keep it open to the public. It's an application process. You got to pass, background check and fingerprint. It's an exclusive invite kind of group right now. Today, though, Nate asked me to come on here and make a few slots open, everybody, so they could get in with me on this 5-year income challenge. He's like, you love helping people. Why don't you help a few more people? So we're going to be opening this to a very, very small, limited group of people who take action here today. If you're interested, let me walk you through what it looks like to be a member of my insider group right here. Now, I call it Termite Trading Labs. some of the other gurus have like Diamond Club, all access memberships. I call it Termite Trading Labs because I take it up a notch or maybe 10 right here above and beyond. Now, this is an all access membership. It gets you everything I do. It's the most elite membership access I can give you for everything that we publish through the publisher here. It's you get all my software, all my strategies, all my ideas, plus a handful of perks that we'll get into that nobody else has access to. This membership is worth at least 75,000 this year alone. And that's not like a 1-year membership thing though. This is a lifetime of access to all my current products, which is quite a few things. And you get access to that forever. This is lifetime access. You get upgraded to lifetime access of everything that I publish in the future too. I mean, we're talking about like Crypto Unleashed and Supercharged Alerts and Gold Rush Alerts and Apollo Algorithm, which is my crown jewel right now. Greenlight Income Alerts, which are being revamped and gonna pull in some of this income stuff, and then Triple Threat Trader, that's a day trade system. But it's not even the biggest perk here, because you get lifetime access to everything that ever comes out of my brain in the future that we publish right here. And that could have untold value. I mean, easily 30,000. If publisher Nate had his wishes and dreams, it'd be probably $500,000 in value right here, just in membership fees for like a 1 or 2 year membership. This includes immediate updates on new market breakthroughs, new ideas I have, including unfiltered access to this 5-year income challenge right here, where I attempt to grow the account until it can help me pull $50,000 a month from the stock market. In fact, the publisher wants me to prove I can do it before we can sell it. I mean, I think that was what the copywriters said or the legal team said in the background, is like, you need to prove you can do it before we can sell the subscription to it. It's like, well, this is an audacious goal for me. Like, I don't know for sure I can do it until I do it. So, I'm going to also reveal why this trade does not trip you up on the day trade rule too. If you get inside my insider group, I'll teach you all the nuts and bolts of this thing. So if you're starting with a much smaller account, maybe as small as like $5,000, you could be able to follow instant entry and exit alerts right inside my Discord, and it's exclusive for just the lab members. I do have a big Discord with lots of people, but I spend 90% of my time just talking to my insider group, helping them get those awesome results. We're all on the same team doing the same stuff. And we get alerts right there in Discord. Of course, that's just the tip of the iceberg for new lab members here, because as a member, you're also going to get all those future releases, whatever I come up with. And here's a couple teasers, things I got coming down the pipe. See, I've got this turbo wheel thing right here. Now, maybe you've heard of the income wheel, where you sell puts and take stock and sell calls and things like that. I take it up a few notches and do something called the turbo wheel, where I take my algorithm and I hunt for stocks that are likely to go up, and then I apply the wheel to it and get those turbocharged gains. It kind of takes the normal wheel approach and really compounds it for much faster growth when you apply this kind of little tweak to the wheel system. And also, right now I have some open claw bots that are, I talked to you about market math and doing this, and I've been teaching a couple open claw bots how to find some high probability setups, and they're thinking that we could find a crazy statistical advantage in here that maybe we could take advantage of over and over and over. We might be able to forecast market moves down to the minute. What would that do for being able to take high probability trades if you could forecast where the market's going to move? Now, obviously, a huge undertaking. These open call bots, I got 2 of them working 24/7 on this thing. Maybe they can crack it, maybe they can't. But as a lab member, you'll get all the updates to this as I build it out. And if that's not enough for you already, I'm taking a little bit of this 5-year income challenge and applying it to Greenlight Income Alerts, which has been I haven't taken a loss in the system yet, and I've been trying out some of these new trades, and I've got 23-0 so far in that system. And every day I'm trying to do it, although I'm a little more conservative than I am even in my 5-year income challenge, if you can believe that. Then I have updates to I just rolled out some updates to the Apollo algo, and my open cloud bot's like, if we build a predictive model looking at all the history you've got on this trade, I think we can up the win rate another 10, maybe even 15%. And that would take it from like a 75% win rate to 85, maybe 90% win rate. That would be just unheard of for a directional trade. So that's potentially coming down the pipe too, with the open claw bots running out there 24/7 working for me. And that's just what I currently have thought of. Publisher Nate pushes me to think of new stuff all the time here.
I do.
I'm always thinking
Shamelessly.
I'm always thinking about additional tools, scanners, strategies, and Publisher Nate's like bringing ideas to me like, hey, what can we do around XYZ? We're thinking about a new crypto idea maybe to roll out in the fall as we get toward the end of crypto winter. We'll see what comes out.
Yeah, obviously that adds up. I mean, you just went through a lot, including some of the future stuff that you have in the pipeline. Obviously not everything, but there's a lot in the labs. That's why we call it the inner circle or the all access. And we haven't even really considered the actual 5-year income challenge, which is what today we talked mostly about as part of that value, which we said, hey, we'll put a $5,000 sticker price on that just to kind of put a number on it to include. But then there's the ongoing cost that you and our team have to pay annually, which we're over $250,000 now in annual expenses. Actually, a lot more. We'll kind of go through some of that later. But there's a ton of expense now for all the data feeds and everything else that we have to do. So all in all, it would be $100,000 plus just if someone wanted full autonomy to all of your strategies to build the data and do everything that you have so far in Turnmeyer Labs. But honestly, and I mean this sincerely, our hope is that just the access to the 50K challenge is worth that much alone. That's kind of what we're talking about today, because we've already shown the power here, or you have, to double an account in under a year so far on live, real money, verified, audited trades, which is posted north of $87,000 in profit during that span. So again, our hope is that just that alone over the course of the next few years is worth 6 figures to people. But I know we're not going to do that. Obviously, we're not going to charge $100,000. Maybe at some point we'll get there. But when we first talked about this, at the end of last year, we talked about upgrading from 25K to 40K to 50K plus. So let's talk about where we actually are. If we're actually going to charge $50,000, because I think that's what people are asking right now.
Yeah, $50,000 was the price that I kind of told you I felt like there was that much value there. And you kind of agreed with me, and the sales team kind of agreed with me too, based on the results that people get. I mean, but we're going to shave it down for some people today. And the access is going to be very limited here today, just so everybody knows. I spend a lot of time, like I said, 90% of my time talking and helping these people, if you're in this group. And, the expenses to run all this stuff, it's astronomical the more people we add, quite honestly. To keep everything running, all the people we have helping in the background, development costs, running open claw bots and token costs and data feeds, and it all adds up quite a bit. We're probably talking $500,000 in annual expenses when I add more people. Nate, we talked about this in the background, right? I mean, add in lifetime memberships. That's like an extra $25,000 right there. I mean, it's like. Future developments, $30,000. I mean, I could be adding extra stuff here and it adds extra cost to me. But if you're in it for the lifetime, you don't ever see another dime that you have to pay. Now, this amount only grows in the future. I mean, that's it. As I produce more stuff, as Nate pushes me to come up with more
Which
stuff.
I will.
It all adds up. And we can easily have that 6-figure value, I think. And maybe the price goes up to that eventually.
Yeah, but obviously, like we just said, we're not going to charge $115,000 today. We could all talk about how much value there is. And like I said, hopefully the 50K challenge is going to be worth that on its own. But we're also not here to ask people to swipe a credit card for $100,000. So we know that we're gonna make this thing a lot more reasonable. Why don't you talk people through exactly what we're doing to at least make it for the first few folks to get in a much more reasonable opportunity.
Now, we agreed to open up 50 slots. This was a hard ask. I didn't want to do this many because I spent so much time talking to everybody. But we're going to open up 50 slots right here at what we've all agreed is going to be the lowest price that we're ever going to have this for yet again. Every time we've offered it, it's gone up in price. This might be actually a lower price point than the last time, but it's only for 50 people. That's it. So here's what's going to go down. We set up this limited online special for you today where you can get access to everything we've talked about, everything I do, everything I'm going to do right here forever, claiming your membership to the most elite trading club that I've ever built. The only one I've ever built. Lifetime access to all the current software, all the strategies, all the things that I've got as they exist, all the future stuff as it will exist, all included as part of this one-time fee we're talking today. Plus even more bonuses that we haven't even covered here today. All of that. And right now we're going to start at 25 grand, but yeah, Nate, that was just our starting price, right?
Yeah, it gets a little better. Much to my dismay, it gets a little better.
So here's why I picked that price, though, to start with. Now, over the last 12 months, I've already proved that I can make almost 90 grand with a relatively small account. In fact, I started with about $75,000 in this account right there. And I added some money. I took money away. Like I said, it was an active portfolio right there. I'm a real trader, real money, real expenses, real things